Hi friends, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. My name is Anaya Monet and you are watching the Love Naya video channel. If there's anything for you to know about me, I am a blogger, I am a writer, and I own a Christian blog, Love Naya, that is dedicated to sharing the gospel of Christ. I also use the platform to testify to the power of having a true relationship with the Lord. By experience, I can tell you that a relationship with the Lord will bring you healing. It will bring you revelation, and most importantly, it will bring you restoration. So if you want to learn more about the blog and about the brand, make sure you check out my description below, and it can also enlighten you on how to stay connected with all of my social media accounts. But let's go ahead and get into the video. Today's video, I will be talking about the conclusion of my latest love letter series, 7 Strongholds God Has Delivered Me From. Now, if you're new here, let me give you some context. For my blog, one of the features that I have on there is releasing Wednesday love letters. These are essentially blog posts that I upload to my website. On the same evening, I go live on my Instagram account, and I host a live discussion with the community. So with these Wednesday love letters, the objectives are different. Sometimes they are meant to enlighten you. Sometimes they are meant to encourage you, to inspire you. Most importantly, I'm sharing with you my insight and my perspective on different matters that you and I go through, whether they're everyday struggles or maybe occasional things, right? But again, I share them with the hopes of kind of lifting you up after you have read it. So with these Wednesday love letters, I decided to do a series for the last 3 months. And It was an amazing time, and I really enjoyed writing the letters and hosting the discussions and posting up the content. So I definitely want to provide you with my afterthoughts as a way for you guys to, give me some feedback. Here's a little description of this series, 7 Strongholds God Has Delivered Me From. It is a collection of testimonies that depict God's truth, His power, and means to restore. Before we get into my next point, which is why I started the series, I want to just let you know about where the content has been posted up and then what the content was about, right? So the letters, they were 6 letters. In one letter, I talked about astrology and zodiac signs. I talked about my unbelief at one point in Jesus Christ. I talked about the dangers of spirituality. I talked about lust and fornication and masturbation. I talked about drug addiction. I talked about the prosperity gospel. Like, these were very deep topics that I enjoyed talking about. So for you, if you subscribe to my website, whether you have the newsletter plan or the full membership, you do have access to these letters, okay? So they are located in 2 places. The letters themselves are located on my website. So once you subscribe and you have a plan, you'll be able to access the series under the blog page. You'll see when you go on there, there's like a category tab, and you'll see that one is entitled 7 Strongholds God Has Delivered Me From. So you can check it out in there. And if you need any assistance in locating it, just make sure you reach out to me for sure. The second place that you can access the series is through the recordings. All of the lives that I did on Instagram, I uploaded them to my YouTube channel. So if you check out one of my playlists, you'll have all of the discussions in a list for you, okay? And this will remain accessible to all viewers, so that way people can be introduced to God's truth and introduced to the blog as well. If any of it intrigues them, they can learn about how to stay connected with everything that the blog represents for sure, okay? Now, let's get into our first topic, why I started the series. I'm gonna go over essentially 3 things for you: why I started the series, the preparation process for it, and a couple of takeaways that I have from it, and then we'll be good to go for today. But why I started the series? Oh man, I started this series. First and foremost, the Lord did encourage me. I did feel encouraged, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk about common issues of our flesh that you and I go through all the time, and give you my insight and my perspective on it. But I wanted to talk about them in a way that I haven't seen anyone else talk about them, right? I don't think anyone has done a teaching or maybe a sermon on astrology, and I'm not saying that they should, but just to prove a point here, I don't think anyone has broken down the topic of unbelief in Christ, or lust, fornication, and masturbation, and spirituality. I don't think people have really broken it down in a way that I desired, right? So I was like, okay, well, if I don't see that, then that's definitely an invitation for me to talk about it in the way that I want to hear about it, right? So that was definitely the main reason. Now, I remember last summer, I believe it was, I remember I uploaded this post onto my Instagram, and I pretty much mentioned all of the things that the Lord had delivered me from in like a slideshow, right, for everyone on Instagram. So the title of it was seven things that the Lord delivered me from, and I listed it out for people and provided like a description on each slide. And then I remember asking them either on my story or maybe under the post if they wanted me to do like a full video series on it, right? And usually if I ask that, I'm already wanting to do whatever I'm asking them to do, but just kind of wanting to get their feedback on it. So I just could kind of gauge a pulling to go into those topics a little bit deeper than what I presented on my Instagram. And then we went from there. So I would say those were the main reasons. I just wanted to talk about it in a way that I haven't seen anybody before, and I felt a personal encouragement and a pulling from the Lord to dive deep into these topics, because some of these topics you can say are controversial to the culture, and it's addressing the patterns and the opinions of culture all at the same time, for sure. Now, that leads me into my next point, which is the preparation process for this series, because there was a preparation. First and foremost, I don't want you to assume that when I felt the Lord's encouragement and pulling to talk about this series that I was like, yeah, let's do it. It was almost like it was, I was very, a part of me was very nervous to do it and very scared, because you're thinking about what people are going to think about. I'm like, if I take the time to go into these topics one by one, and I'm spending, like when I release a love letter, I am spending like the next 2 weeks talking about that love letter. So posting up like video clips or quotes or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, the amount of depth that I have to go into to each topic, like, you want me to do that, right? So it was very nervous, but there was also another part of me, which the Holy Spirit, which was like, this is important for you to talk about, whether you want to or not. A lot of people are deceived in many ways. A lot of people are kind of like lukewarm in their stance with some of the topics that were discussed. And a lot of people are not aligned with the truth, and they call themselves a believer. So it's to address the contradiction, is to address like the hypocrisy in all of us, and is to address like is to ask, where are you getting your truth from? Like, if you're wanting to learn more about yourself, like my first topic was astrology. If you're wanting to learn about yourself, are you going to astrology to give you insight about yourself and about your future, or are you going to the word? So yeah, it did a lot of things. But my preparation process for it, if this started in November of 2024, so just a few months ago, I definitely prepared for a couple of months in advance, just really writing down and narrowing down the topics that I wanted to discuss. And by the way, the listing down of that was a beautiful thing, because I could really, it's like you remembering what the Lord has done for you, right? These struggle areas in my life, I remember the prayers that went behind it, the fasting that went behind it, the seeking that went behind it. And so there was an honor and gratitude and being able to list those things and saying, these were things that I really used to struggle with, and now I'm having to teach them to other people, you know? So there was truly a love for the Lord that I feel like you could get from each discussion in each letter that was released, for sure. I will say that the preparation also included a level of focus and a level of spiritual discipline on my behalf. I think there is a level of consecration and an isolation that's needed when you're preparing to release content like this. Like, this is very deep, raw content. So I wanted to make sure that my heart was in the right place, and that my mind was in the right place, my spirit was in the right place. A lot of prayer went behind it too. I think that goes into like one of my takeaways that we'll get into next, for sure. But a lot of prayer went behind it, and making a note to myself that it's important to check in with the Lord before your letters, during your letters, after your letters, and just keeping that relationship and that closeness maintained throughout the series. And even now, like, my closeness with the Lord is not just because I did a series, right? But understanding the heart posture that needed to be in place in order to deliver this was something that was very important for me. Let's now get into the last bit of it, which is my greatest takeaways. I have 3 for you. The first one is this series redefined the blog. The second thing is I became more sensitive to my delivery. And then the last thing is the series definitely gave structure for the future content to be released. So let's get into the first thing. It redefined the blog. For those who have been following the blog for maybe the last few years, you know how the blog has evolved, right? But I will say, starting in 2024, the brand was different in that it catered more towards creatives and entrepreneurs, and that's what the content was. But when I released this series and I was going in about these topics, I know that people know what Love Naya is now, for sure. Like, if you didn't know about it before, or if you didn't know what it stood for before, for sure you know what it is now. And that I have pride in, and I'm so grateful for. Even now, when people are reaching out to me, maybe people I haven't spoken to in a while, they are saying something about the blog, like, oh, it's so dope to see you on your journey with Christ, so forth and so on. So it's like, yeah, people are seeing the blog and what it stands for. So I absolutely love it. But also too, the series, I'm like, this can't be nothing but a Christian blog. Like, this is what I want to talk about. Like, now I feel, maybe before where I didn't feel so comfortable about it, or you were kind of hesitant or whatever the case may be. I'm like, I don't went deep in, on some very raw and vulnerable topics. So there's no way of like coming back from that or trying to sway away to like different topics or different genres, if you will. Like, this is a Christian blog, and I want people to know that, for sure. Next was me being sensitive to my delivery. That was something I stayed in prayer about, even before going live on Wednesdays to host the discussion with the community. It was this prayer of like removing, this pride from my heart, removing this, kind of pointing your fingers type at people. Because at the end of the day, this series is about what the Lord has delivered me from. Like, I'm putting my dirty laundry out for you guys and allowing you to see how the Lord cleaned it all, right? And so this is not, the series in general is not meant or intended to condemn anybody or to criticize somebody or to judge anybody. That's not my place. But it is shared to give you insight on the issues that you and I go through each and every single day. The issues of the flesh, whether it's envy, if it's jealousy, if it's gossip, if it's slandering, if it's false gospels, right? If it's unbelief, if it's hopelessness or faithlessness, just going through all of those things and showing you how I was able to navigate those thoughts, and most importantly, include the Lord in my navigation. Like, I didn't have to reach a certain point in order for the Lord to be with me. Like, here I am in hopelessness, and inviting the Lord into where I am so that he can drive me to hopefulness, right? Here I am in unbelief. Lord, guide me to belief. Here I am in this false doctrine about astrology. Guide me to the truth. Here I am talking about lust and fornication and masturbation. Lord, show me how to honor you with my body. So it's really showing people the faith and the hope and desire that they could have in the Lord to deliver them from the things that they struggle with, right? But going back to the main point, just remaining sensitive to my delivery and making sure I'm not one of those people that, although I do post content and I do talk about the Lord and I do talk about struggles, there's an importance of stewarding your deliverance to other people, like stewarding what you say and how things come off, right? In the best of your abilities. So asking for the Lord's counsel and wisdom in that area was definitely important. And my last thing was, it gave structure to future content. Like, now I'm thinking about, okay, how many letters do I release each month? And using this YouTube channel even more, right? What type of content can I post on here? And me being more open to other different areas of my life, if it's cooking or right now it's just cooking. I like to cook. So, but being open with other things. I'm so excited. Thus, I'm giving myself a monthly break from Instagram to recuperate from the series that I just did and to kind of process and ponder on how to take things or how to move things forward without this pressure of like having to post on Instagram. Although I am remaining active on my members app and on YouTube here as well. So yeah, so just giving myself time to recuperate, to be refilled, to pour, and without jumping into the next thing so quickly, for sure. But here we are at our 20-minute mark. I definitely said I didn't want to be here for too long, but I feel like each minute was worth it, and I hope you can agree. As a reminder, or for some highlights, remember that you guys can access the love letter series on my website, and you can access the recorded discussions here on YouTube. Just go to my homepage and click on the playlist tab, and you can see this probably at the top, right? And then make sure you subscribe to the blog, subscribe to the blog. I have a free and a price plan. So whichever one works best for you, go for it. But people need to know about the Lord. People need to have their faith and their hope restored in the Lord. And if the Lord is using me to assist people in doing that and to kind of lead people in doing that, then let's do it, you know? But thank you so much for watching this video, for tuning in with me. You let me know your feedback. I know you saw, if not all letters, if not all discussions, you saw something. So what resonated with you about this series? Is there a topic that really piqued your interest? Is there something else that you want me to discuss, or whatever? Share your questions, share your comments, share your concerns, whatever the case may be. But I am all for engaging with you guys and really getting your input on the content that I'm putting out. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.